my brother, Alva Chapman.
What year?
Probably 19, oh, Lord, man.
60s or
59,
70s,
yeah,
59?
something like that. This is when Dale Chapman was born, so that was 1947. She was a year old, so this would be 1948. And they lived in Columbus, Georgia. Right there. And then this is, we haven't gotten to my mother yet. This is my mother, she says, in an old photo. And then this was she when she was probably 12 to 14 years old in that gorgeous dress with her long curls.
Oh, yeah.
And then this was the picture I had of her when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is a picture of when they dedicated the housing development. It was for low-income people in Columbus, Georgia. And that's my mama, a portrait of Daddy, and my brother and I, and then two men that were associated with the ledger. My mother and my father moved to Bradenton, Florida when I was about a year and a half old in 1926. And my daddy ran the newspaper there until he was elected president of the newspaper business in 1937 after the death of my uncle, who had been the president of the corporation. We moved back to Columbus in 1938, and I went through high school there. And Mother was very active in the church. She had been active in the church in Bradenton, and so was Daddy. I remember counting money on the table in Bradenton. Daddy was the treasurer of the church, and they'd bring it home after church on Sunday, and we'd help him count it. And this was in the Depression in the 1930s. Then, can you stop me? No. My mother, as a young lady, went to Lucy Cobb, which was a part of the University of Georgia.
Where was she born?
She was born in Columbus in
What year?
1893, and my daddy was born in Buena Vista, Tazewell, Georgia, in 1889. My daddy was in the hotel business in Atlanta and went to a business school of some sort as far as his higher education was concerned. Mother, as I said, did go to Lucy Cobb. They met in Atlanta, and then my daddy moved to Columbus and worked with the newspaper there. And they were married in 1917.
Same year my parents were married.
Yeah, and
So they went to the Bradenton and they
they
moved
went
back.
to Bradenton, back to Columbus. And
So what did they do in the 40s?
in the 40s, of course, my uncle, who helped run the paper, was overseas during the war, and my daddy ran the newspaper, of course. My brother was in the Air Force, flying B-17s in Europe. Mother was very active, as I say. She was one of the few. Well, she was some of the people who would take in people who were stationed at Fort Benning to let them rent a room because there was no housing in Columbus for all these people that were being trained at Fort Benning. And my brother and his wife were trying to live in places like Washington State, and brother wrote Mother and said, "Please, Mama, take in anybody that would like to rent my room." So there were 4 bedrooms, and she rented, I think, at least one out all during the war. My daddy was the head of the United Givers. He was honored in civic work. He died in 1961 of a brain tumor. My mother stayed active with the Salvation Army and with her church, and did very well until 1978 when she moved to St. Petersburg and stayed here until she died in 1984.